Hi, I'm Brian Dunham. Welcome to the most important podcast ever. What makes it so important? It's not about me, it's about you. This podcast is about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, the moments of resilience, the lessons learned, and the small acts that made a big difference. From retail floors to boardrooms, we'll share the untold stories that shape lives and careers. This week, our guest is Michael Much, and it is part two of what was a fascinating life story, what is a fascinating life story. So, Michael, when we left at the end of part one, we talked about you coming home, and I'd really like to talk about, I'd like you to talk about all the different things you did. You, again, I referred to you in episode one as a Renaissance man. There's no doubt about it. You've had so many distinct chapters. And I'd love if you would just sort of take us through. So you're home, you're back, and now what?
The first thing I did was find the perfect woman. I went back to lived with my grandparents in Chester, Minnesota, on their unheated porch. I would I was standing at Rochester Community College, just a little balcony, talking to a friend, and this girl started walking up towards the entryway. And I looked at her. If you remember The Godfather, Michael Corleone is in Sicily and he gets struck by the thunderbolt,
Yes,
which was
yes,
which
yes, yes.
yeah. Well, I was struck by the thunderbolt when I saw Cheryl, and I said to my friend, "I'll see you later." She was heading to the bookstore. I followed her to the bookstore, got in line behind her, offered her a piece of juicy fruit gum. Candy, is always an enticement.
Right.
We started talking, visiting. Within 2 or 3 weeks, we'd moved in together. We spent that first year together at school. Then we went to Southwest State in Marshall, which had just opened, and it was a liberal arts college. And it was competing with Carleton, McAllister. They had a huge creative writing department. They had a philosophy department, an excellent sociology and anthropology department. And we spent 6 years there together, married, living in student housing, and then in a little house in Green Valley, Minnesota, reading, answering questions for both of us. And Cheryl went on to get her MBA, worked for Target, Norwest Banks, ended up finishing at United Healthcare for about 14, 15 years. So we always had a corporate person in the family for insurance, retirement, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And in the meantime, I was free to do what I wanted. The first job that I got out of college was in Rochester on the locked ward for aggressive young men at the Rochester State Hospital in the Social Adaptation Center. I'd always taken martial arts. I ended up teaching self defense for the state of Minnesota for secure facilities. And I worked as a direct care staff member. Like you, I started at the bottom.
Right.
Started in retail, you start in the entry level position. I was a human services technician. I was there for 2 or 3 months. Um, I'll give you an example of what it was like. My first day there, on the block ward, a guy came up to me, one of the people who lived there, and was kind of hanging on my clothes and stuff. Another guy that worked there said, "Just give him a hard shove." And I said, "No, we won't do that." I watched this guy for a couple of days, found out he liked music, took him over next to me by the record player, took off the needle, pushed him back gently about 2 feet away, put the needle down, the music started. He started smiling. As he started coming towards me, I lifted up the needle, pushed him back a little bit. Within about a half an hour, he wouldn't bother me except to come over to me when he wanted a record changed. We had another person on the locked ward who didn't speak, and every day he would come up to me and I wanted to say hi to him. So I asked our speech technician how to say hi, and she showed me how to say hi like that. So I showed him how to say hi, and then I showed him how to turn a hand key like this to open his door. He was feared by everybody. He was a big, massive guy and would get in fights. He and I always got along well. One day he came up to me, turned me the key, showed me the key symbol, and we walked down to the end of the ward. Showed me the key symbol. I unlocked the door. He went over to where the laundry was, showed me the key symbol. I opened the laundry room. He went in, picked out all his own clothes. We went back, opened up his closet, opened up his closet. He hung up all his clothes. I told everybody about that. Pretty soon they started learning more sign. People started teaching him, and it changed lives. At that point, I realized a lot of the decision making was being made by behavior analysts.
Right.
And behavior analysts at that time were hardcore Skinner, BF Skinner, operant conditioning stuff, which I didn't believe in, but I crammed and passed the test as behavior analyst for the state of Minnesota. From there, I transferred to Cambridge State Hospital, which was under a consent decree to reduce its population and introduce programming. Was one of 16 behavior analysts that went there. I had 5 classrooms with 10 kids in each. I developed a program for there. From there, I took another state test to move up to assistant group supervisor, became the program director for the infirmary, and the infirmary was the place with the kids with the most severe physical handicaps. From there, we referred a lot of those kids to Homeward Bound. After
Mm.
27 months at Cambridge, I referred myself to Homeward Bound, became a program manager there on a household with 16 kids. I moved my way up, went back to school, got a master's degree in special ed, became the program director for the entire facility. And then from there, moved over to St. Paul for People's Childcare, which had another 32-bed facility and a condition on their license for lack of programming. I stayed there 27 months till I was 43, got them back in the high 90s for their ratings, and then went on with my computer business, which I had been working on developing for about 7 or 8 years.
Do you want
That's a
to say a
long
little?
answer. That's a
No,
long
it's a.
answer.
I'm sitting here thinking about the amount of service you've given with your life is really quite impressive. Tell me, you want to say a little bit about your computer business?
My computer business I was always driven by that electronic stuff. My wife got the IBM PC through IBM on employee discount. She brought the machine home, one disk drive, 180K. They didn't have the 360 drives yet. They had 180s. Uh, I had a friend who had a transportation business, a handicap transportation business. So he was a guy at Homeward Bound that I had promoted into a leadership position. He left and started this transportation business. The state of Minnesota was requiring that the remittance forms go through their new optical scanning system. And to do that, every X and every mark had to be exactly in the box or the remittance would be destroyed and rejected, and it'd be another 30 days before I could reply. My friend said to me, "Can you do something with this?" And I said, "Yeah." I learned DBase 2. There was no DBase 1. Ashton Tate started DBase 2 as put a 2 on it as a marketing thing. I wrote software for that, automated his business, went on to write computer software for personnel systems and group homes, finished my thesis on microcomputer applications on group homes in 1985. I replaced all the parts on my PC except the motherboard. I found a place in St. Paul that was putting 8186 chips. Remember the 88 and the 80, 88, 88 and the 8886, the first PCs, then it went to the 286s. Well, there was a 186 that was never widespread, but I could buy those boards in St. Paul. I was able for $1,500. I found distributors in town. They're big distributors. I could build a complete PC for $1,500, sell it for 3,000, charge another 4 or 500 for my software, and helped automate that whole industry. Eventually, Lutheran Services bought out my software package, and I went on from there um, to write more programs. I did a rideshare program for Abbott Northwestern, taking their EBSDEC coded material from their mainframes into ASCII, which could be used on a PC, and set up a rideshare program as a sample. I started doing networks. I had 4 or 5 companies that I was their network administrator. They weren't big enough to have a full-time guy. They'd had me on for 5 or 6 hours. One day I got a note from Hennepin Technical College, and it said, career instructors needed in computer careers. I called on a Thursday. I started on Tuesday. I
Wow.
taught every class that they had, including their advanced networking and data communications. I like their data communications book and class a lot. I developed a website for my classes and for my books. I wrote the instructor at Notre Dame of this data communications book, gave him links to the website. He called me back, put me in touch with his publisher, John Wiley and Son, sent me a check for 5 grand to do a website for the data communications book. I ended up writing the instructor's manual for that book and worked on 3 or 4 other projects, as well as teaching at Hennepin Tech for 7, 8 years. Um, at the same time, I was running Minnesota Preps, had my photography career, had the John Wiley and Company gig. Um, s- you know, always tried to keep busy. Had a lot of stuff going on. At the
Oh,
same time,
you kept busy. Kept
at the
busy.
same time, Cheryl was doing great with her career, and we started putting money away. And we had a few lean years, but we always put money away, and now we're secure and
That's
retired,
great.
and pretty much can do whatever we want, barring surprise illnesses and arthritis and
Right.
all
Right.
that crazy stuff that comes along with getting old.
Yeah. 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 Um, I want to talk a little bit about your career, um, shooting basketball and basketball players and starting rivals and all that business because Michael, it's a Hall of Fame career. And you had an enormous impact on so many families and so many players. And I wonder if you could just talk about that a little bit.
That was that was the most fun. The last 3 or 4 years, my son finished playing basketball at Bethel and came and joined me. I started to do company much and much. And so we worked together. And during the off season, when there wasn't basketball or football, we would go to every training facility that we could. We'd go to all the high schools. We'd watch all the summer programs. We would talk to all the coaches. We'd interview all the kids in the weight room. By the time the season came around, all those kids knew us. We go to all the AAU games, the Best Buy games, the stuff at the Target Center, all the breakdown stuff. I was an early partner in the Breakdown Basketball magazine when it first started.
Oh
Hired
yeah.
Ryan James there, gave him $100 bill and said, "Come write for us." Justin Hegna and Brad Raymond kind of went, "Who is this Ryan James guy?" Well, everybody knows who he is now. One of the best judges of basketball talent in the country, I think.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
at any rate, it was just a wonderful experience. There was always somebody new to meet, and all these players and families have kept in touch over the years. Probably one interesting example is Mike Muscala, who played for Roseville. His dad always kept in touch with me. He loved the pictures that I took of Mike at Roseville, and when Mike went off to Bucknell, where he was
Mm.
a academic all-star as well as a Patriot League star, Bucknell came back to play the Gophers, and his dad arranged for me to go shoot that game. Later,
Cool.
when Mike went into the NBA team came to play the Timberwolves, and I was invited to go shoot that game. And there are stories like that over and over again, where kids that I played in high school are now coaching, and I get calls from them. We come cover my summer game. We come, my son or daughter is playing now. We come and take pictures. We shoot videos, and I keep doing that. I'm not on the schedule that I used to be, but I usually during the summer I follow two or three men's leagues. Brian Sandifer, who I've known for years over in St. Paul, and Jamil Jackson over at Camden, which used to be Patrick Henry. I cover both their men's leagues and their program in the summer, as well as the former Howard Pulley Pro Am League, which is over at De La Salle now.
Yeah. Wow. What does it feel like knowing that you have photographs you've taken in hundreds or thousands of homes across basketball families?
Having the computer background helps because I've got 13 terabytes in a big RAID array, as well as cloud storage for over 800,000 images, video interviews, audio interviews from the last 25 years. And every 3 or 4 months, I'll take a month where all day long for 30 days, I'll post 5 or 6 games a day with 400 or 500 pictures per game. The last time I did that in the middle of the summer over a 90-day period, I had 1.5 million views.
Oh,
And that took me from about 2004 up to about 2008. So now pretty soon in the next month or so, I'm kind of getting over about bout of arthritis and stayed away from my computer for almost a month. Today, my meds are kicking in. I was out doing my eagle photography, got a mile walk in. I'll start posting those pictures and continuing that. And every time that happens, then I get messages. I had 5,000 friends, which was the max on Facebook, and that's
yep.
been at that level for the last 20 years. But
Right.
I've picked up another couple thousand followers since then, mostly from my eagle photography. But all that basketball community is still there. And as soon as I start posting those old pictures, then the messages start rolling in.
Oh,
Mike or MGM, have you got that game? I remember you were at that game. Did you shoot that? And that's the best feeling in the world. Uh, those players get to show those pictures to their kids. They get to show them to their players, and I mean, it's wonderful. Like Cameron Rundles, who was one of my favorite players at De La Salle, is a AD now. Trevor Mbakwe, who was another one of my favorite players, it's also. I think he's back at the university now. He was an AD for a
he
while,
is.
I
Yep.
believe, at Tartan. And all these guys, Mitch Onstead, all these guys are still in contact. I want to mention one other person, and that's Alex Conover, and do a little plug for his senior expo, which he has coming up. He and Jamil Jackson do an expo every year. This year it'll be at De La Salle for on-site players, where coaches will come for kids that didn't get caught up in the overall top 10 or kids who we always point out.
Yep.
It's a great chance. Alex started with me as an intern uh, I don't know, 25 years ago. What my son was playing at Bethel, Alex came up to me and said, "Can I work for you?" And I said, "How about an internship?" We arranged it. He came back to the cities, worked with me for a summer, changed his career, taught cameras and media at Patrick Henry, went up to North. North laid him off this year.
I'm sorry to hear
Uh,
that.
but he picked up and he said, De La Salle is the media person now. So
That's
he came out
great.
on
I
top.
remember Alex very well.
He's done wonders, and to me, he's like a son to me. It's
That's
one of those
cool.
people that you had an impact on. You helped him, and he's done way more to pay back and to make a difference in the basketball community. And basketball is a community.
It is for sure. It is for sure. And I'm perhaps very biased, but I have lifelong friends in that community. And I agree with you. Um,
Lifelong friends and family.
that's right. That's right. Do you still shoot games?
Yeah, I do. This year I decided that I would shoot city games and girls city games, which
Cool.
is something that I had a person that reported for me that covered girls sports, but they never got as much attention. And this summer, you remember Michael Swan from BSM, one of the coaches over
Swanee,
there.
are you kidding?
He,
Of course I remember Michael.
he called me this year and he said, I've got a girls team on the north side that I'm coaching, and we're going to go to, I think it was Kansas, for a tournament. We're doing fundraiser where you come and take pictures for us. So I went and took pictures and got to know the parents, helped them with their promotion. They went off and won that tournament. So I came back, took more pictures, and then a couple of girls were playing at Camden, so I decided, well, I'll cover girls basketball. So for this season, I think I got to every girls city game and shot a lot of stills, but I also switched over. Nikon came out with a cinema camera, and I got a cinema camera and a cinema lens, and started shooting uh, really high quality, high definition video and posted that, and following that on the girls game. Now that summer's coming up, I'll start going over to Brian Sandifer and the Sizzle program in St. Paul and covering. There are some semi-pro leagues over there that I'll follow, and also Jamil Jackson at Farview um, has a league that I'll go over. I'm attached to Farview. My son spent time at Farview when he went to Clyde Turner camps in the suburban areas. My son was dunking at 15, and Clyde came up to him one day and he said, "Son, you need to come down to the hood and play ball." So he invited us to a camp at Farview. We went down to the camp, the only white kid there. Um, he threw down a couple dunks in the final game, picked up MVP. We made lasting friends. A lot of the kids he played travel ball were at Patrick Henry and at North, so we knew the community. I knew the coaches there, and so that's kind of my home area. That's my comfort zone. That seems to be where people know me the most, and I just feel like family. This week we lost, or a couple weeks ago we lost. Um, Taj Rich was a staple on the north side at North, and then switched over to Cooper from there. His son went on as was a great football player, but that community exists, and they keep inviting me back, and I keep going and spending more time, and it's like home.
You, it's um, it's so cool, and you are a legend in the annals of basketball in this state and in these cities. And I think your work is amazing. It's touched my life. It's touched so many people's lives. And when you um, put a trove of your treasures online, my phone rings. People's, I mean, it's really cool, Michael. I can't let you get out of here without talking about your eagle photography. And it's unbelievable the shots you get.
Yeah.
What are you shooting with?
I'll show you what I'm shooting with.
Holy
This
cow.
big monster right here. Nikon C9, which is their best mirrorless camera, with 160 to 600 millimeter lens with a 2x converter, which puts me out to 1200 millimeters. I I love it. It's challenging. It's tough. It's like shooting a shotgun. Eagle be in the air moving. You got to find it. You've got to lock on it. You can have the best gear in the world, but it doesn't do you any good unless you can find your target and lock on it. The technical part of photography has always been the fun part for me. I keep studying, I keep figuring out new stuff. There's constantly new software. The gear keeps improving, and my nature photography just makes it fun. I was out today. Every day now, the eagles just laid their nests, and I've got 5 nests that I cover from Champlain up through Elk River. I visit each nest each day, and I'll watch the eggs will hatch, the young birds will come out, and I'll follow that through the season. I've developed a network over the last 3 or 4 years where I post on all the community sites at Seago, Elk River, Champlain, Rogers, everything up along that area. And then what I do is about every month or so, I'll print a whole bunch of prints, 8.5 by 11s. I've got my own big commercial printers. I do all my own printing. I print on museum quality papers, and I'll pick a spot and hand those photos out to people.
Wonderful.
As a Facebook creator, that generates income because I always love to generate income. As an entrepreneur, it's like a
We're
video game.
capitalists here. We like
It's like a video game. It's like a but in real life. So, in effect, what I've done is established a community supported art system where people go on, look at my photos, click like. That drives up a little bit of money. This
yeah.
month, about $30. When I post my basketball photos and eagle photos on a regular basis and get a million and a half views, then that'll kick it up to 400 or 500. I make about 1,200 a year, but that money that then I feed back into Prince and back into the community, and that's growing. It's taking off like mad. I keep getting calls every day. Did you know about this nest?
Yeah.
Did you know that there are loons over here? And then I add those on my route that I travel every day, and it's just been fun. It's something that I started out when I retired. There wasn't basketball season. I started taking pictures of flowers and birds around the yard, and it's taken off. It's starting to get a little bit of a national vibe now.
That's so awesome. And the work, I'm telling you, folks, is amazing. Michael, I have a nesting pair about less than half a mile from my house, and they fly over my house, my lake, and they're hunting all the time. And it's just up the road from Elk River, man. Alex, we're just up the road from Elk River. We'll have to figure that out. I'd love to have you.
My older brother lived in Long Prairie,
Okay.
and
That's
I've got my Tesla full self driving, so I just put in the address and sit back down and relax, and I'm there.
that's so awesome. So
Mm.
you've walked us through, and I know we've only scratched 2 episodes worth of this amazing American life. All these different chapters, all um, seemingly different, but all connected around community and service. I think you're a very impressive man, Michael. I really do. And I'm just wondering, when the road gets difficult, as it does for all of us, what have you learned about navigating those tough moments? Lay some wisdom on us, Michael.
Okay, the first wisdom is exercise. Reduce stress whenever you can, and the best way to do it is to walk, run, get on the rowing machine, get on your treadmill, use your skier, learn to do some breathing and relaxation exercises. And when the S hits the fan, burn off as much of that stress as you can, and then use that as an opportunity to do something that you want to do something that's rewarding. We've got so many people that are living lives that they can't stand, that they're living lives where they're constantly looking at the clock. And I'm hoping as the future that approaches us now with more AI and more independence, a lot of the drudgery will be taken away. I'm hoping we'll see some standard kind of healthcare and income for everybody. And as AI takes over the world, we can have more and more people do what we do in retirement. find the things that you love best. I think we're going to see amateur sports and community sports take on a whole new weight in this new society that we're seeing arrive. Right now in Minnesota, so many people are hunters, they're fishermen, they're finding their outlets that way. And I think we'll see an expansion. I see chess is taking off like mad. I'm a chess player, and that community is huge and growing. And hopefully more and more people will be able to find satisfaction in their lives.
Yeah.
And we aren't there yet, but look for things that will make your life more satisfying. Do the things that you love and that you like, and you'll be happier.
Amen, brother. And you and I know the secret. We talked about this earlier. It goes by in the blink of an eye. It
It does.
absolutely goes back in the blink of an eye. You are such a treasure. You've had such varied experiences, and I am just so grateful that you shared your story with our audience today. And you and I need to get together for a cup of coffee and take some pictures of eagles.
Exactly. Brian, I got to compliment you. You can communicate, my man. I watched your season wrapped up and been touching. I can see why your career was so successful. You're a natural with people, and it comes across. You know how to listen. You know how to ask the right kinds of questions. And if all of us did that, if we started treating everybody and looking at everybody and realizing, like you say, that every life is extraordinarily, we would end a lot of the polarization that we see in the country today. You just, as soon as you really sit down and start talking to somebody and listening to somebody, no matter where they are in the political respect, um, there are real people there, and we need to get back to that. And what you're doing is helping us get back to that, and you're very much appreciated for it.
Coming from you, that takes double weight with me, and I really, really appreciate that. This is a labor of love for me, much like what you've been discussing.
It's a labor of love and it's fun, isn't it?
It really and truly is. And I thank you for being so generous with your time. And we did 2 episodes. We could have done 4, which means I'm going to want to have you back. So thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. So that's it for this episode of the most important podcast ever. Big thanks to Michael Much for sharing his story, and an even bigger thanks to you for tuning in and checking it out. If you enjoyed this conversation, and I think this was an important conversation, Michael just walked us through the 60s forward in a very interesting and compelling way. Please share this story. You can watch us on our YouTube channel. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. And I just want to dovetail on something Michael said. There is much more than that unites us than divides us. So we need to be looking for that. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.